Hello again, welcome back to Late Night Live with me, Drew Tosh. Time for our special guests interview now, and tonight I'm joined by Fee and Risha, co-founders of the Manchester homeless organisation Coffee for Craig. Welcome.
Hi.
Tell me about Coffee for Craig.
Well, basically Coffee for Craig started about 2.5 years ago after my brother Craig passed away on the streets in Cardiff. He became homeless about 4 years before that, sort of on and off, due to mental health diagnosis. He ended up with paranoid schizophrenia. Due to the schizophrenia, he didn't really trust the medical service or any of the medication that they wanted to give him, so he started to self-medicate with alcohol and then eventually drugs, and he ended up taking an overdose and died in a car park. So that's why we started Coffee for Craig, really.
Right. And I mean, in terms of the Manchester area alone, how big a problem is this? Because I think a lot of people might be quite shocked by just how rife homelessness is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in Manchester we have over 100 rough sleepers now. When we started sort of 2.5 years ago, we were probably, because we run street kitchens where we set up a table and we serve hot food, hot drinks, and we give advice, and we signpost into the more established services like the council and the Booth Centre and Barnabas and places like that offer, you know, daytime service, if you like. But we were probably serving between 20 and 30 people on a street kitchen. We now serve up to 150. So, you know, that the difference in numbers, you can really tell how much of an increase the last sort of 2 and a bit years has really happened in Manchester.
And I mean, is there not enough support available for people in this situation? I mean, what other help or assistance is there out there?
Well, I think there's not enough kind of information shared, maybe is part of the problem. So I guess really what we try and do is share all the information and connect the dots. So we also link people to private landlords. We help house people, and we get people into emergency accommodation when maybe the council don't have a duty of care over that person. Because obviously what you've got to remember is that the council can't house every single person that turns up on their door. There just isn't the provision or the finances for it. It's just not possible. So we try to fill that gap in, which sometimes means that we put people into B&Bs while we look for, you know, private accommodation or referral into the housing associations.
And what kind of support and backing do you have as Coffee for Craig to help you achieve all this? Purely charitable donations?
Yeah, general public backing. We have started to work within a core group, a coalition of relief group, which is other organisations, like-minded organisations like us, with Breakfast in Bed, Life Share, Mad Dogs, Myriad Foundation, and we all kind of support each other and mentor each other, so to speak. And we work with the council and the police, but as far as sort of money, stuff like that goes, it's all general public money that put in, and all the money that we get given, because we're all volunteers. We have a vast volunteer network within Coffee for Craig. All the money that goes in goes straight out to the streets. So we use it for food, we use it for bus fares if someone needs bus fares to go to accommodation or to go to different appointments and stuff like that. We use it for food poverty. If someone's in poverty, we run a food bank. We can help provide nappies and stuff like that for families that are in poverty with children. We provide accommodation, so we can help with deposits and stuff like that, because there's quite a core of people who aren't entitled to help with deposits. So there's a lot of people who can't get into accommodation because they simply can't afford the £400, £600 it takes to go. So we can help with that as well, and that's all the money that the general public give us.
I mean, in terms of, that sounds like a big endeavour to me. How much time do you spend? I mean, I know it's voluntary, but it must take up a lot of your time.
It takes up the whole of our life. Fee kind of works at it all the time, constantly, don't you? And I work part time in a school, in a special school. So I work full time for Coffee for Craig and part time in my paid job, if you like. So
I mean, obviously you have personal experience, obviously with your brother. What else drives you to do this? Because not everybody would do this.
It's passion for the people that we see on the streets.
Do you know what I think? One of the last conversations that we had with Craig, because obviously for 11 years he was my brother-in-law, so you know, I really struggled also with him being on the streets and his situation and not being able to help him. And I think when one of the final conversations that we had was him actually saying that he wanted a family business. He wanted to start providing that provision that wasn't there, because he'd experienced it for himself, he knew what was missing, and he knew how it felt from that perspective. So he really wanted to work with us to create a business model, if you like, to help eradicate homelessness. And it was that look in his eye when we had that conversation, that every now and then when I'm feeling really down and I'm really struggling with the effect of what we do on my own mental health and my own well-being and our relationship and the toll that it takes on the relationships around us with our family and our friends, I just try and kind of remember that, really. And remember that this is his legacy and this is what he wanted.
Yeah, and it wasn't all in vain.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The thought that he died on his own in a car park just always destroyed us, didn't it? And he was my little brother, and he was a good guy. He was, when he was on the street, the first Coffee for Craig thing that we did was we did a meal in his name for all the homeless community that was around him, you know, in the last couple of years, and the friends that he'd made. And the amount of people at his funeral, at the meal, that came up to us and said, look, if it weren't for Craig, he walked me through the service, he got me housed, he helped me. And he was homeless himself, he was on the streets, and he helped people. And there was one time where he actually, I mean, it's a bit of an urban legend now in Cardiff, but there was actually a guy who was really had poorly legs, and he actually picked him up and carried him to the city temple to get a meal. And if you ask the homeless guys in Cardiff, they'll tell you that happened. And that's the sort of person that he was. And we just couldn't let him die like that. I couldn't see that he wasn't remembered, and now he's remembered. People know his name. They might not know him, but they know what he looked like, because in all our paperwork is his face. You know, they all know who he was, because we'll tell everyone, we'll shout it out, don't we?
Of course, we've just got past what could be a very difficult time for many people, Christmas and the festive season. And I know that you fed, was it 150 people Christmas meals over that 2-week period?
With not just soup, yeah.
Yeah, I think we worked on the Tuesday before Christmas. We did a big Christmas dinner with Not Just Soup, which is a group of Northern Quarter restaurants, and it's now spread out of the Northern Quarter, and restaurants all over Manchester get involved. They all take it in turns in cooking on a Tuesday night, and the one just before Christmas was a full Christmas dinner with gravy, stuffing and everything. So yeah, I think it was over 150 meals.
Yeah.
So it was pretty
and
big.
In terms of something like that, I mean, that's an amazing thing to achieve. What kind of feedback do you get from the people that you're helping?
We get massive feedback, don't we?
Yeah.
We do. We're really lucky to be connected with some really amazing, inspiring individuals that just need that little bit of dignity, that little bit of support. Just that weekly bus ticket, those little things that just really make a big difference. And every now and then one of them will come and tell us what effect that's had on their lives and how it's changed their lives. And that's what makes it really satisfying, I guess. Just every now and then, you know, like today on the Facebook page, a lady got in touch and said, I can't thank you enough for the support you've given me over the last few months. And it's made such a difference to my life. And it's little things like that that just kind of make you think, this is worth it. And
that's why you do it, yeah.
Yeah, and it is
on the Sunday
making
before
a difference.
Christmas to actually, because we were on Piccadilly, we've now moved from Piccadilly, and we're feeding just by the cathedral, next to the pop-up cathedral, because it's quieter, it's a bigger space, there's a bit more
Piccadilly
dignity for the guys.
Very voyeuristic, didn't it? And Piccadilly became it became a bit of a health hazard for the people that we were trying to support.
Yeah.
And our volunteers, because it was such a small space with such a vast amount of people with so many different personalities all coming together, that it just became a little bit touch and go at times, and we just thought, this isn't right.
Well, we'll talk more about
you know,
Coffee or Craig and everything else about it in a couple of minutes, so join us again in 3 minutes.